In a major crackdown in Ranchi, the Enforcement Directorate made headlines with a massive seizure of unaccounted cash, almost amount of cash. The action unfolded at the residence of the domestic help of Sanjiv Lal, who is the personal secretary of Jharkhand Minister Alamgir Alam. During these raids, the ED stumbled upon a staggering 25 crore rupees in cash. This haul wasn't just in small bills. It prominently featured 500 rupee notes alongside some jewelry. The operation is part of a broader investigation linked to a money laundering case involving Virendra K. Ram, a former chief engineer of Jharkhand Rural Development Department. Arrested last year, Ram's case pointed to possible irregularities in the department's scheme implementation. It's quite the tangled web, with the Enforcement Directorate revealing substantial sums in bank accounts linked to Ram's relatives, including a joint account holding 9.3 crore rupees.
संजीव लाल एक सरकारी मुलाजिम है, वो हमारा पीएस है और हम लोग भी जब भी पीएस यूएस सिलेक्शन करते हैं तो अनुभव के आधार पर करते हैं। इसके पहले भी दो मंत्री का पीएस रह चुके थे। अब बाकी अभी जो चर्चा चल रही है वो ईडी में, तो वो तो जब तक उसका निष्कर्ष नहीं आएगा तब तक उस पर कुछ टिप्पणी करना उचित नहीं।
Now, the political temperatures in Jharkhand have certainly been rising. BJP has wasted no time in pointing fingers, suggesting that this incident is proof of the Congress party's involvement in murky monetary dealings. They're calling for immediate custody and intensive questioning of Alamgir Alam. Prime Minister Modi too slammed the seizures and termed it as mountains of cash. From JMM to Congress, BJP training its guns.
आपने देखा होगा, अभी घर जाओगे तो टीवी पे देखना, आज यहां पड़ोस में झारखंड में नोटों के पहाड़ मिल रहे हैं। नोटों के पहाड़, लोगों का चोरी किया माल पकड़ रहा है मोदी वहां। अब मुझे बताइए, मैं चोरी बंद कर दूं, इनकी कमाई बंद कर दूं, इनकी लूट बंद कर दूं, तो मोदी को गाली देंगे कि नहीं देंगे? देंगे कि नहीं देंगे? लेकिन गाली खा करके मुझे काम करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए? आप मुझे बताइए। मुझे आपकी पाई पाई बचानी चाहिए कि नहीं बचानी चाहिए? आपके हक का पैसा बचाना चाहिए कि नहीं बचाना चाहिए?
झारखंड सरकार की जो अनंत करप्शन है वो खत्म होने का नाम ही नहीं लेती। कभी 350 करोड़ कांग्रेस के सांसद के यहाँ बरामद होता है। अब तो माननीय मंत्री आलमगीर आलम के पीएस, जिनकी तनख्वाह 30-40 हजार रुपए है, उनके घर से सूचनाएं आ रही है मीडिया से कि 20 करोड़ से ज्यादा कैश बरामद हुआ है और अभी तक गिनती जारी है। इलेक्शन कमीशन को भी इस पर संज्ञान लेना चाहिए कि आखिर ये पैसा किसका है। तो जाहिर तौर पर पीए का तो ये पैसा हो नहीं सकता जिसकी तनख्वाह 30,000 रुपए है। तो मंत्री जी से भी पूछताछ हो और इस बात की गहनता से जांचो कि क्या ये इलेक्शन मैनेजमेंट का भी फंड था।
Over in Bihar, Deputy Chief Minister Samrat Chaudhary didn't hold back either. He launched sharp barbs at the families of Lalu Prasad Yadav and Shibu Soren, labeling them as luteras or plunderers.
देखिए, ये सब लुटेरे हैं। ये लालू प्रसाद जी का परिवार हो, शिबू सोरेन जी का परिवार हो, देश को लूटने वाले हैं। और लूटने वाले को जब सरकार कार्रवाई करती है तो दर्द तो होगा ही ना।
All right, this is a huge political back and forth at this point. Even as, look at this amount of cash, if you want to call it, if you want to call it a pile of cash, whatever, it's definitely more than a pile of cash. Pile of cash is something you and I would be quite used to at some point. But just look at this, the staggering amount of cash that has taken several hours to even be accounted for. At this point, what we're getting to know is it could be anywhere around 25 crores that has emerged. I'm being joined by R.S. Patania, who's a spokesperson for BJP, as well as Dr. Nikul Patel, who's a political analyst. Dr. Nikul Patel, how do you look at this? The opposition has been going and claiming again and again that this is just targeting the opposition. This is just the central government targeting the opposition. How can you call it targeting when look at the amount of cash, the staggering amount of cash that is found from a aide, a help, a house helps house. How does this even work?
Yeah, definitely. The amount of cash that has been recovered is alarming, and it's from a government officer. And enforcement director is carrying out their own activity. It's nowhere opposition can say that they are targeting only opposition. But if opposition is making such mistakes, and if they feel that they are being targeted, they must be aware of all these things. If they and a government officer with this much cash is not his own alone, but he will be interrogated by the Enforcement Directorate, and definitely the people behind it will be more withheld responsible. We already know that I think Jharkhand Murti Morcha Chief Minister is already under the custody, and now something is happening like this in the state indicates that there is definitely something fishy going on in the state. So ED is doing his own job, government is doing his own job, but the opposition has to be very careful regarding all this thing before blaming the government of carrying out such activities.
Aris Patania, one question to you. Of course, nothing really can justify this huge amounts of cash that have been received at this point. But, you know, when the opposition cries foul and says that they are being targeted, everybody in the BJP goes on to say that what does central agencies have to do with us? Central agencies are independent, they're doing their work. Now that this whole pile of cash or amount of cash, whatever you want to call it, comes out, how does BJP take credit saying that we are catching those who have stolen? So it
Sneha,
can't be both
this
ways,
is
no?
not a please, Sneha, a very good evening to everybody on board. This is not a question of reaping dividends or taking credits for it. Corruption and Congress, they are two things which are synonymous. It is not a question of simply an aide of a minister. This minister is the Congress legislature party leader in the House. And from his house, certain incriminating documents regarding postings of block development officers. And one such recommendation has been made by the Pradesh Congress president from Jharkhand. फला फला वीडियो को वहां पे ही रखा जावे, फला फला वीडियो, इट्स इन हिंदी, फला फला वीडियो को फलानी जगह पे भेजा जाए. दिस इज a big posting scandal which has come out. It's a big skeleton which has come out of the Congress cupboard. Congress needs to explain. The Indie Alliance needs to explain. Corruption is an issue, and particularly once Pradhan Mantri ji Pradhan Mantri ji had flagged it at more than an occasion. So that's my point remains that in 10 years of Modi Sarkar, not even a single case. So this issue, only 30 crores.
So
Pradhan Mantri ji leading the bandwagon. He's picking up the gauntlet, and particularly the entire people are following it. So in these elections also, corruption is an issue. Corruption
okay,
needs to be taken care of it. And
this is my question, Aris Patania ji. Now you're saying Prime Minister Modi is leading the attack. Prime Minister Modi is leading the cleanup of affairs. But all this while, when the opposition was claiming that ED is playing foul against the chief ministers, you as well as other BJP leaders claim, इसमें BJP का क्या लेना देना है? BJP has no role. This is the Enforcement Directorate, central agencies who are playing independent. How can you bowl and bat both the ways, sir? Somebody has to bowl and the other has to bat, no?
Not a question of bowling and batting at the same moment, Sneha. ED and every institution in this country. It runs with the process and with the backing of the very concept of the rule of law. So one thing which is supreme, that is the rule of law. If rule of law prevails, if the labor of law prevails, and ultimately corruption comes tumbling out of the Congress cupboards, so we need to welcome it. We need to flag it as an issue. We need to take it to the people. We need to take it to the last man in the last row. So my point remains that Jharkhand, you take to Dheeraj Sahu's case, 300 crores seized. You take to 2022, 92 crores seized. You take to February 2022, the chief engineer of rural development department, same department, was ultimately booked and ultimately arrested also by the ED for a big commission scandal. So Congress, corruption, and these commission
Nikul
scandals
Patel.
and these postal scandals, they have virtually rocked not only the Jharkhand, but the political landscape of the country also. The people of the country, they have thought they
All
need to
right.
take care of this time also. And the entire corrupt Congress needs to be wiped off lock, stock, and barrel. And particularly in Jharkhand, Congress
Okay.
needs to resign on moral grounds. Its PCC president and its Congress
Okay,
legislative party
now just
leader,
look at
they are
no,
they are
just
neck
look
deep
at
in
this,
corruption.
Nikul Patel. Is now a problem with imagery? Jharkhand goes to vote. Jharkhand will be voting. On the eve of voting, you have this absolute dramatic visuals which are very, very shocking. Crores of money, 25 crores of money that's coming out from a person's house that would just about be earning possibly few thousands. If you look at this contrast, is this a big blow? You know, Jharkhand is where you have a chief minister's wife who has been at the forefront, has been saying my husband has been targeted. And then you have another allegation of corruption emerging from another minister, linked to another minister, at least we can't say directly from the minister at this point, however, linked to the minister. Where is all this money coming from? If everything is clean, then what is this brouhaha about?
Definitely, the people of Jharkhand as well as the country will be thinking of it. And Pradhan Mantri today rightly pointed out the opposition and targeting them that, see, this is what is happening. Definitely, if Jharkhand people are going to vote, then this mindset. But till the conviction is not being there, nobody can claim that this money is belonging to whom. Right now, it has been recovered from the government officers, but BJP would definitely try to make it a political issue. And you rightly said in your speech that if something is happening good, BJP wants to claim, and if something is happening bad, then they want to target the government agencies. But over here, if entire country is in the hand of election commission and ED is performing some duties, then it is in the larger interest of the country. BJP should not try to take credit. Definitely, they will try to encash the vote based on this news, but people has to think what they want to vote for.
Nikul Patel, what do you mean by people have to think what they want to vote for? What is the option? Here
People
you
need
have mounts of cash that is coming out of a person's house on the eve of voting. Opposition till now was claiming statistics that were coming out. 95% of leaders that have been targeted have been by the from the opposition. That's one of the statements and the facts that came out. The opposition put out facts for it as well. Brought out all the data of what the past is. But how is this one incident on the eve of voting? How is it going to be looking? Is this going to camouflage or taint what the argument was being built by the opposition?
To me?
Yes, Mr. Nikul Patel, it's to you.
See, yeah. See, when it goes for a Lok Sabha election, people have already decided to vote for whom. See, when you see the entire mass, definitely few mass is going to be affected by this kind of news, and they would try to rethink of to whom they want to cast. But as the entire Lok Sabha campaigning is going on, definitely I think that people have already decided that whom they want to vote for this time. That is why I say the word that people have already decided what they want for. They want to vote for their basic needs, basic rights, or something news like this where a government official is held responsible for having this much cash in his home, and until the thing is being convicted, nobody knows. So I think not much effect, but definitely few mass will definitely think or rethink on what Pradhan Mantri is appealing for it.
Nikul Patel, is very difficult to digest that unless convicted, no, this is not going to impact. These are huge visuals, staggering visuals. It's definitely likely to only impact as people go to vote tomorrow. But RS Patania, what do you really say to what Nikul Patel is saying? Last words from you. If Dr. Nikul Patel is saying like this is about parliamentary elections, this is about the people have already made up their mind about who to vote, and the issues have already been sealed, and this is not likely to impact because there's no conviction also in this particular case. This is just optics and narratives. How do you look at this?
Neha, with due respect to what my learned friend made it not only once but twice also, corruption is an issue. And corruption is the biggest issue, not only in Jharkhand, but on pan-India basis. Congress was rooted out from power. From the power citadel, it was brought down by the people of India on the issue of corruption, 2G scam, coal scam, commonwealth scam, and a string of scams also. And Congress had kept a tradition. Though Congress has been voted out of power, but in the sarkars where Congress is directly in power or Congress is in power through coalition also, Congress has kept it alive. So not to speak of, we don't want to influence. We don't want to change the minds of the voter at the ultimate point. That is one part. This country needs to take note of how ducks and
All
drakes
right.
have been
Okay.
made of the
We're
public
totally out of
exchequer,
time.
how public money has been looted
All
by
right.
the
We're
Congress,
totally out of
how
time.
particular
Aris
states
Patania.
they have been mismaneuvered also. So my respectful submission that one last line: Indie Alliance and Congress need to come clean on this big expose from Jharkhand. They need to come clean from Dheeraj Sahu expose. They need to come clean from the chief engineer's booking in the February 2002. They need
All
to come
right.
clean
Okay.
on the 92 crore seizure from Jharkhand also.
Okay,
This is
Aris
my final
Patania, thank you
comment
very
on this
much
matter.
for joining us. Dr. Nikul
Thank
Patel,
you.
thank you very much for joining us. But one thing is for certain, for every allegation of targeted investigation or targeted probe by central probe agencies, this is one visual that the BJP will certainly play up. But of course, people going to vote in a matter of few hours in Jharkhand. The ripples of this, of course, in several other states also.